I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly.
What is up, football fans, USFL fans, but most importantly, my Houston Gamblers fans, to episode 3 of season 3 of Gamblers Table Talk. I can't believe that I've been doing this for 3 seasons. This show has just gotten cool. I'm talking to everybody I've ever wanted to talk to that has to do with the Houston Gamblers, and it's pretty great. But my favorite people to talk to is you guys. So everybody watching right now, and I have a big show for you today. We're going to talk top 5 gamblers that I think should be in the USFL 50, which is coming this week in USFL A, dropping tomorrow or the next day. I'm not sure. But yeah, USFL 50 is coming out. If you don't know what that is, the NFL has the NFL Top 100 every offseason. And we thought, well, actually us and Chris Rowland, the receiver for the Stars, thought that they should do something similar for the USFL. So we thought, well, we know most of the people, if not all the people who are covering the USFL. We know a lot of players. We know a lot of coaches. We know some general managers. Why don't we get everybody to send us a ballot, and we put it all together and we get the consensus top 50 players in the USFL from that season? So we did it last year. We announced it day by day with a graphic that I make. It's a cool thing. This year, it's about to start. The list is really good. I think people really were paying more attention this year, knowing that we were going to make this list. And I think it's just a better list. So this year, before the list comes out, I have my top 5 gamblers that I think should be in the USFL top 50. Then we have general manager news. We have NFL signings news. We have players who played in NFL preseason. We have some news that might be news. There's a lot in this episode, man. I didn't think it would be that crazy of an offseason, but whatever. Here we go. Let's jump into it. So keeping up with the offseason. It's like keeping up with the Joneses, but Gamblers edition. So moving into it. NFL signings. Absolutely love this. Absolutely love this because Aaron Champlin came in. He was like the 3rd running back we signed this season because we had Dalen Dawkins didn't come back. We had Devois Whaley get released. We had TJ Pledger go down. Mark Thompson didn't play the first 2 games. Like, we just had a lot of running backs come in. Aaron Champlin comes in out of Harvard. He had been in the Cowboys training camp last season. He comes in. He looks good. He looks really good. He is the running back who gets signed, not Mark Thompson. And his contract was terminated earlier after a workout with the Falcons. Now that the whole thing has been taken care of, I will explain what happened. So he did a workout with the Falcons. The workout went well. The Falcons said, hey, we're going to sign you. And they offered him a contract. He said, yes. That's why his contract was terminated with the USFL. Now, if you've been paying attention to me, I told you that just because their contract is terminated with the USFL and says offered NFL contract, that does not mean they have signed yet. Brandon Aubrey, his contract was terminated with the USFL, but he had multiple teams offer him a contract, and he didn't announce which team he was going to until well after his contract had already been terminated with USFL. So Aaron, his contract was terminated. He was supposed to sign with the Falcons. Then last second, they withdrew it, and he just didn't know what was going to happen. So I talked to him. I asked him about it. He let me know. And I'm so glad because no one needs the Falcons. He went over and the Chargers picked my man up after a good workout. I cannot wait for this next preseason game. Get to see Aaron Champlin, the Harvard grad, out there in the Chargers blue. And I wish they wear those baby blues again, but I digress. Then Isaiah Zuber. I feel like we've come full circle in the USFL NFL world. Last year, Isaiah Zuber, he was wearing number 1. He was in the Gamblers. Had an amazing season. Like, the dude caught everything in the end zone that was thrown at him. Then the Raiders picked him up. He played defensive back and receiver in his first preseason game with them. He caught, I think he had like 3 catches on offense, and then he had an interception to end the game as a safety. Then he gets released after the season, doesn't get a futures deal with the Raiders, comes back to the Gamblers midseason, takes the number 21 because my man Anthony Ratliff Williams has taken number 1. Comes in, and his first whole game that he plays is at corner. So he's playing safety in the NFL, receiver in the NFL, receiver in the USFL, then corner in the USFL. He was playing both ways. The dude is an absolute athlete. If you look at the graphic that I put out, I put athlete. I didn't even put wide receiver. I don't even consider him a wide receiver anymore. He can do it all. So absolutely love that he got picked back up by the Raiders. That's why I think full circle. It's awesome. I love it for my man. Now, possible news. I brought up earlier that we might have some news, but who knows? This was a weird thing that happened. It it was like what, the 9th of August. So about a week ago today, Mark Thompson out of nowhere just tweets at Kyle Sloter with the eyes, everybody put the little sus eyes, tweets that. Everybody starts texting me, tweeting me. They're like, oh my gosh, does this mean Kyle Sloter's going to the Stallions or going to the Gamblers because he's on the Stallions right now? And then Kyle Sloter messages back. He comments, he goes, what's the word? So this does not necessarily mean that. It could mean one of 3-ish things, kind of, almost 4, who knows? But I need to explain how one of the big curveballs that's about to come this offseason that we haven't seen yet, but Webb and I have been talking behind the scenes and we know that this is coming. Here's what I need to explain. So the original USFL draft, everybody who was drafted and signed to the team, they signed a 2-year contract. Now, their contracts are coming up. So if they stayed in the league for season 1 and season 2 uninterrupted, because you have people like Kyle Sloter, you have people like Scooby Wright, these guys who signed back for season 2 later after their contract had already expired and they hadn't re-upped, they are on a 1-year contract. But the people who are from season 1, beginning of season 1, drafted, their contracts are coming up. They can stay in the USFL, but they don't have to stay with the team that drafted them. And that is the very, very interesting part. So Mark Thompson also tweeted earlier before this, I believe. He tweeted, if we're all getting paid the same, why not put the best players on one team? Now, that's not necessarily true because we know Reggie Corbin got more money. We know Kyle Sloter, year 1, got more money. We know Donald Payne was offered more money to come back. Certain players do get more money, but obviously Mark Thompson didn't. He also signed back a little bit later. So, he's kind of thinking where he wants to go. So he tweets this at Kyle Sloter. It kind of is following the vein of why don't we put the best players on one team? And I guess if you're looking at Kyle Sloter from season 1, if he had been healthy the whole time, he was probably one of the best players. He was all USFL. This could mean he is lobbying to get Kyle Sloter onto the Gamblers. It could mean he's trying to get Kyle Sloter to talk to Skip Holtz to get him on the Stallions with Kyle. It could mean that both of them, Kyle Sloter's 1-year contract is up, Mark Thompson's 2-year contract is up. They could both go to another team. They could both go to the Maulers and light it up, So there's going to be a lot of turnover. The people who their 2nd-year contract is ending, you're seeing a lot of them re-sign, like the Stallions are re-signing with the Stallions. Maulers are re-signing with the Maulers. That makes a lot of sense. They were just in the championship. The other teams, you're not seeing that many re-signings, and that could be because other teams, you got Skip Holtz ringing up the phone saying, hey, Mark, last 2 seasons on the Gamblers, you played great. You guys didn't even make the playoffs. Come over here where we've won 2 championships. Let's repeat. That can happen. And Mark can say, yeah, let's do it and re-sign with USFL, but with the Stallions. So 4 things that could happen. Could mean Mark's trying to get Kyle to the Gamblers. Could mean Mark's trying to get Kyle to get Holtz to pull him over to the Stallions. Could mean they're trying to get both of them to go to another team and create a super group. And could mean they're both trying to go to another league, maybe the XFL. Who knows? The last one's a little bit off. I think they're both staying in the USFL. But yeah, so it could mean a lot of things. It's possibly news. It possibly could just be Mark Thompson trolling us, in which case, bravo, my man, that's pretty good troll. But I don't know. Now, let's move to the next news. Gamblers in
for Green Bay. Clifford throws
intercepted. That's a pick 6.
You can see his grades there. His run defense, not the best grades, but honestly, they didn't run against him much. So take that as you will with a grain of salt. But his pass defense was honestly fantastic. He had 4 hurries, 1 hit, and that hit that you're talking about is the one right there where he hits Clifford, the drafted quarterback for the Packers, throws a pick 6. Huge play, and he had a fumble recovery. Who did he recover? I didn't put it in here because I already trolled the Stallions fans enough on Twitter, but Alex Magoo, his 4th play in. First 3 plays, he hands the ball off. 4th play, he backs up for a pass. He gets sacked, strip sack. Who comes up with the fumble? My man, Dominique. Go, Neek, man. Neek had himself a game. He's listed as a starter right now for the Bengals. I mean, he is a Gamblers Hall of Fame player. I absolutely love to see it. Then you see former Gamblers tight end Josh Peterson. He's over there playing for his dad. He's playing in Jacksonville for the Jaguars. He had a couple good snaps. He played some special team snaps, which is where he could really shine and make a name for himself in the NFL. And he had a couple snaps at tight end, which some people were tweeting. I didn't specifically see it, but he was blocking like a champion, which is something that we knew coming out of the USFL. He has like hands that you don't expect from him, because you look at him and you're like, that guy's not that much of an athlete. And then he makes very athletic plays in the passing game. But where he really makes his money is in the running game, where he blocks, and he's a very good blocker. Now, what he also did is he took a snap at long snapper on a punt. I put that out there on Twitter. If you aren't following me, make sure you go follow, go look. I put it out there. Not a good snap, man. I put long snap, shaky. It was a shaky snap. It wasn't great, but we absolutely love seeing fun in the NFL preseason, and it was a great time. Love seeing Josh out on there on the field. So 2 gamblers got in games, made their, saw them on television, and they absolutely showed out. I love it. Love to see that. We only wish the best for all USFL players, but I'm going to focus on my gamblers, my G code. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is something that I didn't really know how to touch on for a few weeks now, was that our general manager, other than me, the only other person that has had gamblers next to their name since the beginning has been general manager Robert Morris, Coach Bob, and he has stepped down. Head coach Curtis Johnson decided that, now that he has a full off season, he really wants to bring in guys that he's had history with, that he likes to have around him, wants to build a team the way that he specifically wants to. And he let Coach Bob go. So Coach Bob is moving on. I don't know. At this point, he could happily retire. He's got grandkids. He's got his wife. He lives out there in the Dallas area. The Duke could retire and be completely happy and, proud of what he has done in the football world, because he has a lot to be proud of. Even just in the past few years, this guy has shown that he's one of the best there is and ever will be. I have nothing to say but thank you, Coach. I absolutely loved having him as the general manager. At this point, it's a whole different Gamblers team, right? There's not one person from season 1. There's only a couple guys coming back from season 2. There's going to be more turnover in the coaching, in the players. I can guarantee that. I already know a couple, but like I said, I'm gonna wait for those balls to drop themselves. Wait for the other foot to drop, but that's not me right now. So, Coach Bob, thank you so much for everything you did as a general manager, as a confidant for these players, as a friend to the media, to fans, and to myself. You have been nothing but kind, and I appreciate you. So with that, you think, okay, the general manager's gone. Who's coming in to replace? Well, we got that answer. It is Lionel Vitale. Lionel Vitale has a great rap sheet as far as just success and being in player management. So this guy has 4 Super Bowl rings. I went and found each one, and I put it on there. He has 1 as a player. In 1987, I believe, with the Washington Redskins. He was there that year that they had the player strike. He came in. He played 3 games in the NFL total. He has the highest career yards per game because of those 3 games during the NFL player strike, where they had the kind of backup teams. What the starters were holding out. They were on strike, so they had backup teams. And so they brought him in, and he showed out at running back. And that year they got a Super Bowl ring. And then he has 3. The first 3 Super Bowl rings that Tom Brady got. Lionel Vitale was a part of that staff. He was there. He was in the building. He was scouting college players for the Patriots. He started in the CFL because he played in the NFL. He spent a lot of that time. He'll say it himself. He spent a lot of that time on injured reserve. He went up. He played some games, and he looked good in the CFL. Then he moved straight into scouting. They immediately moved him into scouting. And so he has been scouting ever since, being director of player personnel, a scout. You could see it all there on the side. This guy, we're in good hands, is all I can say. I think that he knows what CJ wants. CJ knows what he finds. And they're both Louisiana boys. I mean, this team, it's basically the Breakers if the Breakers actually had Louisiana ties. Every person on this team at this point has some tie to Louisiana. And with this, now we have 6 Super Bowl rings on staff. CJ has 1. DC Chris Wilson has 1. Lionel has 4. And then, that's insane. 6 Super Bowl rings and 1 coaching staff. And it's now on our gamblers. So great to have him. I'm excited. I'm going to talk to him soon. He seems very, very nice. And I cannot wait to show you all that. But moving on from that, now we have what I'm teasing. My top 5 that I think should be in the USFL top 50. Now, these are not guys who are necessarily in the USFL top 50, but they're my 5 picks that if they say, hey, who are the 5 gamblers that you think should 100% be in this list? It's these guys. Now let's look at them. Number 1, obviously Mark Thompson. I mean, the guy set the single season, modern day single season touchdown record. The dude is an absolute animal. He's a beast. Hopefully he doesn't leave, but we'll see. But he should be on the list. And I guarantee he is. He's at least in the top 5. And if he's not, then we'll probably get another comment on Twitter, which he just recently retweeted, which I thought was hilarious. Last season, I believe he was 43. He was number 43 on the USFL top 50, and he did not like it. He did not retweet it. He just commented, and he said, "Y'all hi." That has been one of my favorite comments of all time from any player or anybody, and I love it. Thank you, Mark, for that, and I promise this year you'll be more happy with where you are. Number 2, Justin Hall. Justin Hall is a guy who has been in a bunch of NFL tryouts. He's done a bunch of workouts this offseason, and he hasn't signed a contract yet, and I do not understand that. Now, what that does do is it kind of makes me hopeful that we could get him back next year, because this guy was up for Offensive Player of the Year until him and Kenji kind of bogged down at the end of the season. The passing game stopped working as well. But before that, this guy looked like possibly an MVP candidate. He is shifty. He has fantastic hands. His body control is inhuman. And I mean, just athletic as can be. Absolutely love Justin Hall. He should 100% be on the list. I'm pretty sure he is. Man, wow. This dude should be on the list. He should be high. So if he's not in the top 20, this thing's rigged. I'll tell you that. Number 3, Nick Buchanan. Now, a cool story about Nick Buchanan is before the season, I got the chance to go down to Memphis for their scrimmages, right? Nick Buchanan didn't even get to play in the scrimmage against the Stallions because, man, he was the one player that they were like, this is the guy we cannot replace. You know, even they're like quarterback, we have quarterbacks who can come in and we feel confident that they can get done when we need to get done, you know, all the positions. Center, they only trusted Nick Buchanan because he is that good. He literally is the quarterback of that offensive line. He's smart, he's athletic, and he's a great blocker. And he's the only guy they trusted to snap and to be center. Like, he didn't even get to play a snap. He sat there the whole time. He was kind of annoyed. I asked him, and he wanted to get in. But Nick is a great guy. He's a great player, and he should 100% be on the USFL top 50. Gamblers fans will know that. Other fans, I don't know if they pay attention as much. You know, it's offensive line. It's not as sexy. But number 4, Manny Bunch. Manny Bunch, he was all USFL. The dude is an absolute killer. He had a workout this week with the NFL. I don't remember who, but he is a monster. This guy, he had probably the hardest hit that I saw in season 1, got flagged, pulled the flag back because it was so clean and so legal, just so brutal that they thought it had to be a flag, but it wasn't. This guy is a beast. His coverage, good, but where he makes his money, I said it in the tweet earlier, he comes up in the run game, he can plug a hole, he can hit the best of them, man. This guy could go up against Mark Thompson and get him down. Manny is a great safety and absolutely deserved being on the All USFL list. He was on the United Football Media all USFL list that we put out. He should be on the USFL top 50, 100%. Now, the last one, number 5 that I put on this list is Kalen Tolson. Kalen Tolson was a silent killer. People did not talk about this guy, man. Everybody wants to talk about Vontae Diggs. They want to talk about Kiavate Zizino. They want to talk about Frank Ginda. They want to talk about Reuben Foster. I understand, but you got to talk about this man, Kalen Tolson. He was a humongous reason the first time that we played the Stallions that we won that game. He is lightning fast. He's got good muscle, like ridiculous muscle, but good size. It's just he's not that tall. And I think that's the biggest knock on him. Otherwise, he plays smart. He's in on every single tackle, and he's wicked fast, man. Alex Magoo could not scramble that much in the first meeting because he was tracking him down all over the field. The dude, when he takes off, his straight line speed is actually unbelievable for a linebacker. He was leading the team in tackles for a long time. This guy absolutely deserves to be on this list. He is a beast. Also, nice guy to boot. Absolutely loved talking to him before last season. He was nice when I went up there and saw him. He's just a good all-around player. I'm surprised he has not gotten into a camp this offseason because he has the intangibles. He has the things that when people are actually looking at film, he stands out 100%. So, Kalen, absolutely think you should be in a camp. He is a great player. He is a good guy. That is my top 5. Top 5 people I 100% think should be in the USFL 50. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is something I touched on last episode before my interview with Jakari Robinson. Which will he choose? We have not gotten any updates. Chris Odom has gone silent. He is focusing on family, focusing on his daughter. He has not given any hints to if he's going to go to the USFL or the XFL coming back off his time with the Browns. I hope it's the USFL, especially because in the XFL, he 100% knows that he's going to the Guardians. They were the worst team last year. Terrible. Their head coach literally said that he needed new guys and a new team in the middle of a game. Don't love that. But coming back to the USFL, he actually doesn't have to go back to the Gamblers. He can go to any of the teams. If he wants to go to the Stallions, join Mark Thompson, and be a power team, then they can do that. So he has the choice of where he wants to go coming back to the USFL. So I think that might be a little more enticing. Other than a big payout for the XFL, I think we see him come back to the USFL. But we haven't actually gotten any news on it. So I don't know. That's just me speculating at this point. But man, there was a lot to talk about. New general manager, guys in preseason, guys signing to teams, Mark Thompson tweeting, trolling us, who knows. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been a long-winded episode. I need some water. I cannot wait. Watch the Chargers game. Watch the Jaguars preseason game. Watch the Bengals preseason game. We got guys on those teams. The Raiders, we got Zuber over there. Watch those. It's fun to see those guys and see if they can make a roster, man. It's the full circle of this league. That's the whole point. So go check those out. It's not a bad time. It's football. So it's been a good time. I will talk to you guys next time. Ace out.